Hello. Welcome. Welcome to Friday. I was thinking, hey, I just got these eyes. I wanna put these eyes in this sculpture. So there we go. Done. That is how you put glass eyes in a sculpture. Let's put on some music, shall we? I'm very sleepy. I got like 2 hours of sleep. Had to get up at 3 in the morning. I took this little lady to the airport. She's going to Disneyland without me, which is what I wanted. I don't want to go to Disneyland. I want to make art. Hello, Jefferson, Rodriguez, and Scorb, and Malcolm, and Amy. Wow. What do you think? Is my eyeball sculpture successful? Dottie, welcome. Alright, so I was hoping these would be a better size than the other eyeballs I was trying. But it looks like they might be even bigger. Let's see. Yeah, look at that. They're even bigger. Well, and so I was trying to get blue-gray. This is difficult because Heather has blue-gray eyes, but there's also like green in them in the middle somehow. And these ones are just green. I don't know. I'm gonna scoop some stuff around and see what happens. Like in these pictures, her eyes look pretty big. Hi, Jose. Hi, Aola. Where did I get the eyes? I got those on Etsy. They were apparently something that they were imported from Germany, and they're just I think they're handmade glass eyes for dolls. Hand of the light. Hello. Linda, hi. Don't. Oh, I guess this one is in a separate bag so it doesn't chip the other one during shipping. Alright. Even better. You ever seen Roger Rabbit? This is what Christopher Lloyd ends up doing at the end. Spoiler alert. Okay. Also, this is what Arnold Schwarzenegger does at the end of what's that Mars movie? Total Recall. Amy says fake eyes are always slightly creepy. Can be. Always? Maybe it's one of those things where it's like some people just think all clowns are creepy no matter what. Hey, Mark. Says, I love the reborn Seacrest eyes. I don't know what that means. Okay, let's make some room. Make a hole and make it wide. Hello, Malcolm McLeod. Malcolm is asking, should I use real eyes? You know, I hadn't considered that. I would have to find a half-size person, which I guess maybe a baby would be. And then how do you preserve their eyes after you pluck them out? That could be tricky. Other than that, I don't see any reason why not to. Amy says, I prefer sculpted eyes on sculptures. Yeah, generally that's what I do. I'm going with glass on this one because I'm trying to make this look like a 1920s Art Nouveau statue, and they used a lot of interesting things. They used a lot of glass back then, so she's going to have like stained glass fairy wings, kind of in this color range. They're going to be shaped like poppy leaves. There's some more stained glass. Can you see that? Focus. Focus. There you go. Yeah. So they're gonna look kind of like that. Maybe a little bit like that. Oh, I'm probably super close to the microphone. Sorry. Yeah, and I wanted her face to be ivory, and then her hair to be like gold leaf. So this is all the reference that I have of Art Nouveau and Art Deco that I thought would be useful to the piece. Yeah, I want her face to be kind of like that. Amy says, like on dolls, they look really strange. I haven't seen many examples of fake eyes used well, though I accept always is not a good word for use. Yeah. So I think if they lead into that kind of uncanny valley effect where they're like close to real but off by just enough, that could be particularly creepy. Says the guy with the sculpture with gouged out eye holes. I think because this piece, the materials that I'm going to paint it as, looking like, it's going to seem so stylized that I don't think that'll be a problem, but you never know. Don't know till you try. Man, there is some serious depth in this Sculpey. This is probably going to crack a lot, but that's totally fine because I want it to look antique. As long as the paint job matches, I think it'll work. Hello, Mr. Tree Stump. Welcome to my stream. Do you think this looks like your mother, Mr. Tree Stump? Scorv is asking if there's any foil inside, and yes, there's a ball bigger than my fist of foil inside there, but I think I ended up just building the face and forehead up so much as I was trying to correct for different proportions that, yeah, there's a good inch and a half of clay over it. So I'm definitely going to bake it very slowly and tenderly. In fact, now that I think about it, what I might do is just after I'm done sculpting, slice the face off and bake that separately, and then I could mount that on and then sculpt the hair. I don't know. We'll see. I need to put this in such a way that it is not being distorted by perspective. You know, when you're working off of photographs, the photographs are naturally going to be a little bit distorted because of the lens, unless it's one of those lenses where you're like super far away from it and it's zoomed in. That's how you get the least amount of distortion. But most pictures that most people take, especially on their phones, are going to be crazy distorted. And then on top of that, if you have your reference laying down, you're seeing it at a weird distortion as well because of the perspective. So it's best to prop it up. I'm trying to find a perspective that makes, because this webcam, I'm noticing now that I have it on portrait, like how fisheye it is. Like it's got a very wide angle lens. So looks like her iris goes all the way from the top of her eyelid, touches both the top and bottom eyelid. That's obviously not what's happening here. Hi, Andy. Rasta, hey, says, do you have any advice to remove dirt from Sculpey? My models get dirty real fast when I work with beige Sculpey. Yeah, so you can wipe them down with alcohol, actually, and it's possible to get too aggressive and like dissolve away details, but if it's like definitely for big smooth areas, it works pretty well. You could actually, there's a couple good tutorials on YouTube by polymer artists who show you how to deal with that. So check that out. Mark is asking, how long will it take to bake? I am probably going to bake it for a really long time because I'm going to ramp it up really slowly. I'll probably bake it for a couple hours on, like, I don't know, 200 maybe, and then I'll bump it up to 250 for an hour, and then I'll bump it up to, wait, I'm getting my numbers totally wrong. How hard are you supposed to do these? I've been looking at all these various polymers now, so I'm totally confused. 275, okay. For 15 minutes per quarter-inch of thickness, they say. But yeah, you can definitely bake it a little bit lower, but a little bit longer. Not too much lower, because you have the chance of it actually not curing all the way through, and then you'll get a really weak, crumbly sculpture. But there's a range in there you can play with. So it's going to be about balancing how much I think I could get away with heat versus how much I'm afraid it's going to crack. But even cracking, I'm not super concerned about, because I've got Abe's epoxy clay to fix it up. Okay, so that bottom lid just needs to be a lot more horizontal. Mark Isaac recommends wearing rubber gloves when working with Sculpey. Yeah, that's an option. I mean, depending on how much fine detail you're doing. Sometimes that could be annoying, but I wear rubber gloves almost all with everything I do. So Hand of Light says, I think it's about 30 minutes per half inch. Yep, somewhere around there. They said 15 minutes per quarter inch, which would be the same thing. Wow, I'm actually feeling like this is the right size after all. I don't know why I thought the other eyes were way too big. These eyes are bigger and they're feeling like they're about right. I think it's too high. Is it too high? Let's see. So if we do this little trick where I hold the tool up to the photograph and I'm putting my thumb where I see the corner of the mouth and then going up to the eye. And then I hold it back here for myself and place it where in forced perspective it's the same proportion more or less. Yeah, it looks like the eyeball's a little high in the head, so and that is why you don't start detailing right away. Scorf says the sweet spot seems to be between about 50 millimeters and 85 millimeters for perspective. Oh, when it comes to the lenses. Yeah, so I have a 50 millimeter lens for my DSLR, but I have to have the camera so far away from everything, it's just super obnoxious to use. So I got what was the next? I got one that makes it so the camera only needs to be about 4 or 5 feet away from me, from the sculptures that I photograph. It just makes life a lot easier. But yeah, you pay for it with a little bit of distortion. Andy says you can use masking tape to take off dust and tweezers to remove thicker hair. Rubbing alcohol with a swab can also help thin the surface. Then use tape. Never tried tape before. Rasta says I can't work with gloves. I need to feel the clay with my fingers. Yeah, that's a valid concern. Malcolm says sight and size method. I don't know what that's referring to. Hand of Height says, are you using a 7 molt dental tool? I don't know what 7 molt means. This is a wax sculpting tool that is used by dental laboratories. I don't think dentists themselves actually use these. Like, you can't really use it for cleaning teeth very well. Hey Akumo, welcome. Andy says, my cats have to be in the studio while I sculpt. I give up fighting it. Yeah, well, what are you going to do? Cats are going to be cats. Another thing working on this sculpture is making me remember is I was going to try to mount my camera not on the table, so when I'm moving my sculpture around, the camera's not always jiggling. Need to figure that out. H. Stemkey, hello. Welcome. Anyone in here from Europe? I got started earlier today because I came home early. I'm just curious if I was able to catch any Europeans. Hand of Light says, normal dentists wouldn't use it often, but oral surgeons will. The tool is thinner than a 9 mil, I'm guessing, which is why I asked. Malcolm says, sorry I wasn't very clear. Sight and size method is what you are doing to measure the picture and transfer it to the sculpture. Ah, I had no idea that's what it was called. If I had gone to a, like, actual art school instead of the Art Institute of Seattle, I probably would have learned that. Rasta is from Paris, France. Cool. What time is it there, Rasta? Getting a call from Scam Likely. Think I should answer it? Nah. What do you guys think of my fancy filigreed overlay? Is that too distracting? I don't know. I may have pushed it too far. I might try to do something simpler. Every time I stream, I try to figure out one new thing about streaming. Can't do it all at once. It's too overwhelming. Ethereal Die says 4 a.m. here. Ah, and Scorv is from Scotland. Excellent. Hand of Light is saying 9 molt. I do not know what molt means. And Rasta says it's 3 a.m. Monsieur. 3 a.m. in France. Is this what most French people do at 3 in the morning? On a Friday night / Saturday morning? I mean, I guess Parisians are a different breed of French, so I shouldn't lump you all together, right? Akumo says, from Germany here, same time zone, 3 a.m. at the moment. Normally I'd have to be awake in 1 hour. Oh wow, I'm glad it's not normal for you, Akumo. Ethereal Die says, everything under the cam frame is okay. I think the extra stuff to the left of the cam is too much. Alright. Good feedback. I wish there was a way to change the shape of the little window that my head is in so that I could, like, make it more contoured, shaped to the side, you know? Because that's not really the focus, but the fact that it's forced into, like, a square frame or rectangle frame, it hurts my aesthetics. I thought of there was one way around it that I thought of, which was to do like you know those cutouts in old movies, like that the lion is inside of and he roars from. I could do like a green screen cutout that I put like in front between the camera and me, and then it would green screen everything out. That's not, but I don't know. That might be taking it too far. Scorp says it looks pretty good with the setup at the side, as long as you keep the sculpture on that side of the frame. Yeah. Let's see, are you layering the Sculpty to make easier transitions in the folds of the eyelids? No, the layering just happens from trying to find the shape, really. It's just a lack of confidence ends up in lots of layers. I do think this is starting to get somewhere, though. Amy says, I like the overlay. It'll just be another thing you'll have to keep in mind when showing us stuff on the main cam. Yeah, that is the drawback. Rasta says, not sure about other Parisians, but yeah, it's what I do. I live like a freaking vampire. I thought that was American Werewolf in Paris. No, that was London. Was there a sequel where the werewolves were in Paris? I really liked As Above, So Below. That took place in Paris. That wasn't really vampires or werewolves. That was more like just weird ghost magic stuff. Yeah, I just made her very sleepy. Scorp says, I can with a masking layer. Oh, really? I'll have to look into that. Scorp is just a font of knowledge, I'll tell you what. Amy says, I could put a green screen behind me. I could, but that wouldn't help make this square go away. It would just make, well, I guess it kind of would, but then like I would be cut off at the chest in a weird way. Just be floating there. Although I could put myself on the bottom of the screen. It's a lot to think about. One thing at a time. So much of that iris is showing. It's crazy. She looks like a Disney princess in these pictures. Gosh, it's almost the whole thing. Ethereal Die says, I like my owl schedule. I work on a North America time zone, Eastern to be exact, and I love it so much more than my prior 9-to-5 jobs. You do like a night shift sort of thing? Mr. Winter Waters. Hi, Mr. Winter Waters. Where do you get your glass eyes from when sculpting? So these particular glass eyes I just did a search on Google. These particular ones were a seller on Etsy. And I think they were like, I want to say $18 or something. Plastic ones are cheaper, but often they can melt if you're baking them in Sculpey, so I really wanted glass. Alright, I think that's probably as far as I want to take that one roughed in until I get the other one in to make sure that I've got the right space apart. Rasta says, yep, the movie took place in the Parisian catacombs. Still didn't see the movie yet, though. I like the movie. It was like, to me, it was a good mix of two other movies I really like, which one is called The Cube, which I think is like a 1997 super low budget sci-fi-ish horror thing. And what's the other movie it reminded me of? Oh, The Descent. So it's like a mix of those two. Actually, I don't like most horror movies, but if they have like something creative about them, it's not just like, you know, a dude stalking teenagers and slashing them apart, or like people trapped someplace getting tortured. They need to have some other hook for me. The Ethereal Die says perpetual night shift. Yes, either from 4 p.m. to midnight or 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Wow. Don't care for the sun, huh? Did I mean Hypercube? No. Is Hypercube a sequel to it, maybe? I'm not sure. But, I haven't seen... I know they did make some sequels to it, which I didn't bother with, because I just assume that most sequels are awful. Seemed like the premise was pretty much exhausted in the first movie, and any explanation they could give would kind of ruin the great mystery that's left at the end of the first one, and just make it less interesting. Kind of like the TV show Lost. It was like the first 2 or 3 seasons are just like breathless anticipation for what is this all gonna be? What's it all gonna mean? And then they actually tell you at the end. It's just like, oh, all right. Because it's like every answer to a mystery has been thought of and done in some form or another at this point. So it's not like any storyteller is actually going to be able to shock and surprise people with a mystery anymore. So whatever is in the back of your brain, what you're thinking it could be, that's more entertaining than any answer they can give you. So Akuma is saying The Cube, the one with shifting rooms and stuff. Yep, that's the one. They're like in a giant maze of cubes with deadly traps, and no one knows why they're there or how they got there. And it's got really interesting character arcs. Like, all the characters, they start out the opposite of what they end up as at the end. Rasta says, yeah, I totally remember The Cube. Loved it. I mean, it's got a little bit of cheesiness to it. Some of the acting is not like perfectly on point, but the premise and like I'm just so impressed that they took what's essentially one set and made an entire movie out of it. Like an entire movie that I was like felt compelled and captivated by the whole time. Anyone could make a movie in one place, of course, but making it good, that's the hard part. Ethereal says, the opening in the cube was that guy getting cut into 1,000 little pieces. Yep, that's how it opens. Let's see. Boy Dinimanasu says, yes, the scene with the wires where the dude gets diced. That is quite the name, a boy Dinimanasu. Oh, that's a boy named Sue. Probably from the Don't Tell Me, Johnny Cash. Is he the one who did that song? Amy says, sounds like Maze Runner, but horror. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Maze Runner took a lot of notes from the Cube. I'm disappointed that the Maze Runner movies didn't do better. I really enjoyed them. Scorv is saying, any tips on where to get cheap wooden bases? Yep, secondhand stores. In the U.S., there's Goodwill and Value Village and St. something or another's. I assume there are secondhand stores where you live as well. But yeah, they're like wooden bowls, wooden plates, wooden like mounting things. Yeah, I always find them for very cheap, like pocket change. Ethereal Die says, only 21 viewers. Sad face. Stream is worth so much more, and Josh's audience interaction is on point. Oh, well, thank you. You know, it's easy to be on point when there's only 21 people. You know, I don't have to worry about the stream, like, zipping past at the speed of light. But, you know, like and subscribe and share my videos, and I'll get more. If it starts getting too fast, I'll probably just drag my son in here and force him to read them to me as they go. I think I need to get the camera further away so it's not so crazy distorted. One moment. What if I put it over here? No, it doesn't like that. Oh, is that upside down? Excellent. That's much better, don't you guys think? Okay. Okay. Now, the question is, if I have it way out there and I zoom in, will I get less distortion and not have a quality loss? Let's find out. Zoom 200. Come on, 200. You can do it. Really, 199 or 201. I cannot put it at 200, and it won't let me type in the field. Great software, you guys. Okay, well, we'll try it at 201. I think that does look less distorted. Akumo is saying the Maze Runner worth watching? I mean, did I miss something good? Well, I mean, I liked it. Is it good? It's better than a lot of things. Amy says, I remember a lot of my friends complain that the movies weren't as good as the books were. Well, duh. That's just always going to be a fact of movies. They are not going to be as good as the books. I don't even think it's worth saying that anymore. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, books just gonna be a lot deeper, and you'll know the characters better, and there's time for things to breathe, and everything's taking place in your imagination, and your imagination is custom built to entertain you the best. So it's always going to be, you know, all the details are going to be custom perfect for you. And then you go to a movie and they've got to cram everything into a much smaller time frame. And some, you know, concept artists have decided what the monsters look like, and some costume designer has dressed them up however they think they should be, etc., etc. It's not going to be as good. Ethereal Die says, how many of you guys are Guild Wars 2 players? Crickets. Rasta says, Guild Wars 2? Guild Wars 2, it's a pretty good game, you guys. You should check it out. I hear they get only the best artists and designers to work on it. I hear there's a new expansion pack coming out in a couple weeks. I hear it's called Path of Fire? And it's got the most beautiful maps yet. That's just what I've heard. I have no first-hand knowledge of this. Oh boy, now that's quite a name, Trig73ch. Yes, that's how I found Josh's channel. Cool. Yeah, I did a cross-promotional video for ArenaNet and my channel. Originally, I just made a video and I was like, can you guys put, you know, just post this on the official Guild Wars channel? They were like, this is like something you did, so we'll just promote it or whatever. It was a release in Guild Wars 2 that I was the, like, what were we called? We were called, it wasn't director, we were called coordinators. Yeah, I was coordinating some releases for it, and so I did some promotional video, and so a lot of Guild Wars 2 people found out about my channel through that. Akumo says, I am, since Head Start. That's also the reason I know this channel. Cool. Dottie says, how many boxes of Sculpey have you used so far on this sculpture? That's a good question. I don't know. I've been working on this sculpture for 7 or 8 years at least. So I honestly have no idea. Is that, look how much closer this eyeball is to the nose than this eyeball is. So it's tricky because the irises, look, see, they make it so that I'm not like, so there's the center of the eyeballs, right? But the irises are shifted that way. So this iris is perceptually much further than the bridge of the nose than this iris, which is much closer to the bridge of the nose. But what I could measure that's firm is where the, can't remember what those little parts on the inside corner of the eyes are. So I need to make sure those are right. And they are pretty much, let's see, if you follow the edge of the nose out, they're pretty much right at the edge of the nose. So I'll draw a line up there. Looks like that could be a little bit closer. Draw a line up here. That needs to be further. So both of the eyes need to move that way a little bit. Boo! Rasta is guessing I used 3 boxes. Yeah, could be. Ethereal says, do you know why Mortarmoth doesn't have chairs in his lair? Ooh, this is going to be good. The answer, because dragons stand. Now that is quite the inside joke there. Yes, you can see yourself out. Let's see, Scorv says, think it was a thief I played. Might have to load it up again. Amy is saying tear ducts. So tear ducts are in that place, but is that what they're called? I'd have to look it up. I feel like they have a different name. Okay, so the question is, can I move this eyeball without having to scoop everything out? Probably not. Unless, you know what? I'm just going to see what happens when I move. I just remove the clay over there. Maybe the eye actually is close to that big. Because, look at the pictures, the cornea does go all the way to the side of the eye, so I need to push this in a little bit. Ethereal says canthus, the corner of the eye facing the nose. Excellent, thank you. And then it says, speaking of thieves, you know why they wear medium armor? Because it's made out of hide. Yes, good one. Thieves definitely prefer to wear hide. You're killing it, Ethereal. Slash cheer. Wait, what's the... Oh yeah, it's like this. Speaking of emotes, fun fact, on Guild Wars 1, the male necro dance was based on me. Bobby was animating, I think, all the dances, and he was, you know, using reference from the internet and stuff. But they were kind of, they weren't sure what they wanted to do for the male necro. And I was like, well, maybe you could just make him mosh, you know. And they were like, well, moshing isn't really a dance. And I was like, I can make it into a dance. So he filmed me doing that ridiculous thing. You should Google it. Guild Wars 1 male necro dance. So that is like taken directly from me. Like he pretty much animated over the video that he took. Scorv has to admit they hadn't heard that one yet, and congratulates Ethereal on an original dad joke. No, I got it, Ethereal. I read out instead of hour. Hand of Light says, know why the bard couldn't cross class into monk. He didn't like the sound of it. Okay. Okay. Boy, that went from looking really good to looking really bad. I wonder why. Maybe it's the jokes. Ethereal says, I thought it was inspired from the WoW undead. No, I mean we were making that stuff before WoW came out, so. If anything, WoW was inspired by us. That's I'll just claim that right here, right now. Anyone at Blizzard can feel free to send me a check for the my part of the creative inspiration process. Okay, this guy needs to go this way. Hey, can you guys still hear me just as well as before, if not better? Because my mouth is like another 6 inches from the mic, which I think is probably better. I think I was too close before, but just want to make sure. Akumo says, yeah, I totally can see you doing those moves. Yep. Yeah, I haven't been to a show in the past several years, come to think of it, but I do love going to small venues and seeing metal and goth metal bands up close and moshing around. I usually try to stand between the people that are going absolutely crazy and like flailing and kicking and punching the air, and all the like 14-year-old scene girls who are, you know, like 80 pounds up in the front. Otherwise they get kicked in the back of the head all the time. So I just do the human shield thing. Sound is good, thanks. Akuma, what can't you unsee? Me dancing like that? Sounds better now. Yes, the sound is great. Okay, awesome. Good to know. I actually ordered another one of these webcams to hook up to replace the built-in webcam. I'm looking at you, crappy built-in webcam. And then I'll set that one up to be the microphone, so it'll always be the appropriate distance from my face, where no matter where I put the art cam. That is what Patreons have done for me. Have made it so I can be like, you know what, I want to make this a really nice experience for people, and some people are pitching me a couple bucks a month, so I can do that. So I feel totally fine ordering 2 webcams. If any of you guys are Patreons, huge thank you. What do you guys think? Give me some feedback. What do you think of these proportions? Dottie says, mosh etiquette. That's right. It probably comes from being like 15 to 20 years older than everyone there. I'm kind of the dad of the scene. Amy says, from a girl who went to a Green Day concert and got crushed, I thank you. I've never been to a concert that, well, okay, I went to a Chevelle concert that was probably close to the size of a Green Day concert, and I was just, it was in a like a nice old theater, and it was just rows and rows of seats. There was no mosh pit. It was just like you just sit there and listen. And I was like, this is so stupid. What is the point of this? I guess people who actually enjoy the idea that the music is being performed by their favorite artist live, but I don't know, I have to like get up and be violent to the music or I'm not enjoying it. I once got, I think it was at a Zayo concert, someone stage dove off of the stage, but they didn't just dive, they did a flip, and the heel of their boot hit me like right in the forehead right there, and I had an actual boot print, like red mark, for a day or two. It was hilarious. Hey Cassie, welcome. Says it's an honor to see your process. Fan of your work. Aw, very sweet. Yep, this is my stilted, very long process. I find that I spend a lot of time exploring and learning and making lots of mistakes and going back and redoing it. And I'm okay with that. Rasta says, I'm definitely a future Patreon. Well, thank you, from the future. You know, everyone's got their time in life. I probably just recently reached the time, well, within the past decade, where I'm like, you know, I actually, you know, I have an established career. I'm doing all right for myself. I'm paying the bills every month. And now I can seriously think about, like, how I'm voting with my dollars, how, you know, who I'm supporting and how, and, you know, made sure I'm always buying the games and music and movies and stuff that I watch because I can. So, like, yeah, I think there's a certain age where that just kind of kicks in, where it's not going to break the bank. And if you are not at that stage yet, do not feel guilty at all for not patronizing. Let's see. Cola Commando. Hey, Cola. Very decent, but the reference pic has like an S sweep to it. Let's see. Are you saying that it's like bent or tilted, or that you can't see it, or that it's behind that thing? What if I put it here? Score says, does the left hand one look like it's not far back in the head or overbuilt on the left hand side of it? Quite possibly. That's a good point. I need to take my own advice, tilt it around, and look at it from the top. And when I do that, let's see if we can show the camera there. Yeah, as you tilt the horizon of the forehead here, you see this eye definitely disappears before this eye. So, yep, that's pretty good indication that it is not far enough back. Good eye. Scorv, you're like the MVP of this stream, let me tell you. BitGreen says, can you move the camera back a little? Oh yeah, look at that, it keeps getting cut off. Yeah, so I moved it back considerably and then I zoomed in a bit so that the distortion of the FOV wouldn't be so bad. see if I can find a better compromise there. Yep, learning to live stream, so all this stuff is, yeah, I gotta keep it in the back of my mind to keep checking all these different things all the time. It's a skill like anything else, and it's being layered on top of another skill that I still haven't mastered, obviously. Ethereal says, in about 15 hours, my server is having its 5th year anniversary in WVW Drunken Raid Night. Last year, our singing crashed the server. Wow, impressive. Amy says, I feel like it looks good generally, but it doesn't really look like Heather. I don't know what's off. Yep, that is the continual struggle of doing portraits. So, what I should have done is put the eye in, get it to where I think it needs to be. Obviously not there. Okay, gotta get it facing the same direction. Still needs to go up a bit. Okay, facing the same direction. Then, before adding any clay, I can go in and look at it with a straight line and say, okay, does that line up? Boy, that is kind of hard to tell without the without the eyelid. But just roughly I can do that. I can roughly go in and say, okay, if the corner of the eye, which I already forgot what it's called, is there, is that still in the right place? And then do the forehead horizon test. It looks like, let's see. Boy, that's hard to tell if that's a problem of the forehead being too disproportionate, because it looks like it's sloping back on this brow more than it's sloping on this brow. And I'm not sure which brow is more accurate. I'm gonna just do this real quick. Take some of this bulk down to match the other one. Cola Commander says the lower eyelid. I assume that's what you're saying you think is off about the portrait. Devilman, hey you Devilman, says, where did you get the eyes from? I got them off of a seller on Etsy. I just did a Google for glass eyes, doll eyes, or half-size eyes, something like that. And you know, one of the result that actually I was looking for blue-gray eyes specifically, which narrowed it down quite a bit. And I think the only place that I found the color and size that matched what I needed was Etsy shop. And they were great. They got it out. I think I ordered it on like Tuesday and I got them today. So they are glass eyes made in Germany is what the seller said. Okay, let's look at this horizon again. Now it looks like this curve is too much. Wow, I did not take that much off. I wonder if it's just a weird angle perception issue that I'm having. Yeah, throw some quick eyelids and see what happens. Make sure it's stable where it's at first. In fact, I should probably pack some stuff in there to make sure it doesn't wiggle out of place when I'm doing the eyelids. Ethereal is reminding me that that little thing in the corner of the eye is called the canthus. How can I remember that? Because it sounds like cantha, and cantha is the name of the Asian-themed continent in Guild Wars 2. And I worked on Guild Wars 1 as well. And I worked on both of those. And I've made many canthan things. Yeah, I like that better. I'm making sure to pack up the soft tissue that's around the ocular socket to, I think because I'm building it up slower rather than just plopping on a big slug. When I do put the big slug slash eyelid on, it's more controlled that way. Anyone from Florida in here right now? Hope you guys are all doing all right. Rasta, do they have? Can you order stuff from Etsy in France? Like, do they have a French Etsy, or if you go to Etsy, do you get stuff shipped from the U.S.? I have no idea. I mean, I know there's obviously like Amazon and eBay and that stuff all over the world. I don't know about Etsy. I keep using this bent tool to do my proportion test. It's not the best idea. Really wish I had better pictures to work off of. I had better pictures, they just got swallowed up into the ether of some computer somewhere. Yeah, that's directly there. Amy says, I think it depends on the seller if they are willing to ship overseas, but there are Etsy sellers in Europe as well. And Rasta says, some members ship internationally, not all though. Okay. Yeah, I know when international shipping is just so crazy expensive. I feel like I still need to move it over just a hair. Well, yeah, because if the end of the canthus is right here, then the eyelid itself has got to start over there. So the iris does go, like the iris does touch the canthus, you can see. So it's fine that it's touching, but it might be going a little too far. It might need to go over just a millimeter or two. Obviously, the smaller the scale you're working at, the more precise and fiddly you have to get with those proportions to, to get them right. And so this is a half scale bust. So in theory, it's a little easier to get the proportions right because the numbers that you're working in, the magnitude that you're working in is big enough to be easily discernible.
Can you come here real quick? I really need help real quick.
1 second, I have a small emergency.
So I think I actually just completed like 5 hours of work.
I don't know if that quite counted as an emergency per se. I think my son accidentally deleted a couple hours of his editing for his channel. Apparently Adobe Premiere auto-saved after he deleted a bunch of stuff. Well, deleted pretty much everything. And then he closed it after that auto-save. And now when he opens it, it's all gone. So if anyone knows Premiere super well and knows a way to get that back, let me know. Spike Sparkle. Hey Spike says, have you ever worked or played with motion capture, facial or body? I have played with it. We had a motion capture suit at work for a while. I did. Yeah. So when we were developing Guild Wars 2, we were doing a bunch of like the town people animations, like playing a lute, or oh yeah, we did a bunch of wow, I am tired. Those things that you do, emotes. Okay, wow. Yeah, we did a bunch of emotes. So I did like a drunken man stumbling around. I did like a big hello, bunch of that kind of fun stuff. I've never actually gone into the data and done anything with it, but so someone did. I think some of that stuff got used. Do you ever use... Oh, hey, I'm able to scroll up today. Excellent. Do you ever use calipers when working from photos? I have not. I probably should. I have not yet. I just do the method that I showed earlier, which someone named, where you just hold your tool out and measure and bring it back and forth like that. I guess calipers make that faster? I don't know. Devilman. Oh, okay. Devilman asked about calipers. Spike Sparkle says okay. Cassie says, what if the eye shifted towards us out of nowhere? That would truly be creepy, especially if it only happened when I left the room. Makes me want to do a prank like that. I gotta figure out how to do that. That would be amazing. Yeah, be careful. Amy could be triggered. She's already afraid of glass eyes. Alinus says, Alinus? Hey, how's it going? Says, I'm wondering if it's possible to do these type of sculpting with water-based clay. Will it be possible to do precise and minuscule details? Not as precise. If you want to see really well done water-based sculpture and portrait, check out Philippe Ferreau. In my tutorial series on polymer clay, I think I put a link to his stuff. But I have some of his educational DVDs and a book and some stuff of his. You can get a sense for what you can do with it. I personally hate water-based clay. It's just so frustrating, the logistics of dealing with it, like having to put a bag over it, and then if you keep it too moist for too long, it gets moldy, and it's not worth it to me. Amy needs to leave. All right, bye, Amy. Thanks for stopping by. You're awesome. Hopefully see you tomorrow. Josh Butler. Hey, Josh. Says, you are fantastic. Love watching you create. Oh, thanks. Devilman says, if something is off, calipers will quickly show what the problem is. Okay, I should get them. I should figure out how to use them. I have a friend at work who, when I can convince him to sculpt with me during lunch from time to time, he has calipers in his box. And he probably knows what he's doing. He designed Dragonheart and worked on Jurassic Park and stuff, so I should probably listen to him and learn how to use the gosh darn calipers. Mr. Winterwater says, you can sculpt with water-based clay, but it's hard because clay can dry fast, depending. Small details are quite difficult. Yep, that's what I found. Josh says, what kind of clay are you using? Sculpey Firm? Yep, that is what I'm using. It's my favorite sculpting medium. I like this piece. I've literally been working on and off for 7 or 8 years. And the fact that I can just keep coming back to it and just let it sit in my garage and gather dust for years and then come back and just kind of scrape it off and keep going, that's an amazing medium right there. Spike Sparkle says, yeah, getting the right moisture content for what you want is an art in its own. Seems like the polymer stuff is much more flexible. Exactly. I need flexibility in my life. I don't want to have a schedule set by the medium that I'm working in. Okay, so it's becoming apparent to me now that the direction of this eye is kind of there, and that one's there. So I should probably fix that. It's. I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to tell before I go through all the rigmarole of getting the the eyelids sorted out. Oh, maybe I can just push it like that. It's looking better. Huh, look at that. I think I may have literally just fixed it. No, almost. So I'm gonna push all this clay down underneath it to keep it in place there, because it's easy enough to just go in and smooth over that divot. Devilman says the worst thing about water-based clay is that it shrinks as it dries, causing cracking. Yes, that is another really obnoxious thing about it. I think polymer clay is one of my favorite art inventions ever. It's just like such a brilliant thing to do with oil. You know what I mean? You think of all the things that oil is used for, and making an amazing sculpting medium is not the first thing that springs to mind. Ethereal says, anyone else really missing Pirate Lion's arch? Sea of Sorrows spoiled my reimagination of it. For good. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I worked really hard on the first Lion's Arch for a long time. And I was definitely sad to see it go, but then I ended up working on Lion's Arch 2 for a really long time, so yeah. But yeah, I prefer like the oldie time, like Pirates of the Caribbean style that the original had. Daniel Sellis. Hi, Daniel. Says, hi, Josh. Was wondering for a starter if it's better to start with a big piece or a small one. Could you give some tips? Thanks. Um, well, the reason that I did my Sculpey 101 tutorials at that scale is because that's the scale that I've had the best success with teaching others. Like when I do my live classes, um, that's just kind of what people gravitate towards. I think because you can hold it comfortably in the palm of your hand, it's really helpful to learn that way, because you're always seeing it at different angles and perspectives. Like when a head is locked down like this, you're really limited. Like, Scorv helped me out by saying, hey, your eye might be too far out. And I was like, oh, duh, because I hadn't done this. Because that's just an awkward, unintuitive thing to do unless you're constantly reminding yourself to do it. Whereas if you're holding it in your hand, you're just doing that. So, yeah, I'd say palm sized is a good place to start. Scorf says, remember to check it from the top again after pushing it out. Yeah, that's a good point. I should do it for real, not just mime it. Yeah, I think that's still good. H. Steinmckey says, sorry, have to go, but so awesome to watch your work. Thank you for sharing your skills and talent. Thank you, H, for stopping by. I really appreciate it. I totally love these live streams. I love talking to people and learning about them and what they're doing. And anytime I can answer questions, I feel really happy. So, thank you. Daniel says, okay, I see. Thanks a lot. You're welcome a lot. Have you seen my Sculpey 101 tutorials? If not, they're, on my channel. You should check them out. It's really cool actually having this camera here, because I'm seeing it with my eyes here, and then I'm seeing another perspective, like with the lens, and like right in my line of sight. It's actually a really interesting sculpting tool that I had never considered, but that's pretty cool. Makes me think it would probably be good to actually set up a mirror as well, so I could see it from different angles as I'm turning it around. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone doing that, and now I'm wondering why. Like, I have a mirror right over there. I'm gonna set that up for next time. But yeah, so this eye looks way smaller than this eye on that camera. And for whatever reason, maybe it's just the angle that my eyes are seeing it, it doesn't pop out as much. Well, probably because this eye is closer to me than this eye, and I'm working on this one, and so my focus is on this one, and this one's just in my periphery. So, but then when I look up and see it on the screen, I'm like, oh wow, I need to do something about that. Look at how much white is within the arc of the eye there. That's a considerable amount, and that is not showing up in there yet. Daniel says, yeah, I started watching your tutorials and then I subscribed to your channel. Great. Thank you, Daniel. Hope you find them useful. So you're just starting to learn to sculpt, huh? I've heard that from a lot of people, that they've seen my tutorial and decided to sculpt from it. So that's very heartwarming. It's kind of the point of it all, you know? Okay. I think this needs to be moved over a centimeter. Let me try something. Sometimes it's easier to do it this way. You know, it's funny. So, this is a portrait of Heather, my wife, and she has had, I think, 12 surgeries in the past decade. She just has a million things wrong with her, but she had to have like sinus surgery, and then a different time she had to have tear duct surgery, because of all the things I'd never heard of this. You can get stones that build up in your tear ducts, and then those get inflamed and infected, and you get eye infections from that. And so that was So she's had a bunch of surgeries on her poor little face, and I'm essentially cutting right where they were cutting for the surgery. All right, think that's gonna do me better. Dottie says, your Sculpting 101 inspired me to make a few sculptures. I would love it if you could critique my work. Is there a way I can send you pictures of them? Yes. So probably the easiest way is to, if you have Facebook or Twitter, you can tweet it at me. My info is in the description of this video. If you don't have social media, oh yeah, I was gonna try to figure out how people could paste links in the comments. Like if that's a setting that I have disabled or something because it's maybe considered spam. I need to look into that, but get back to me on that. And yeah, I love giving constructive critiques. You can also try posting a link on my Sculpting 101 videos, and most of the time I'll get a notification from YouTube saying here's some suspected spam because it has a link in it, and then I'll go look and see if it's actually spam or if it's art from someone. And if it's art from someone, then I'll, mark it as not spam. So that is another way. Let's check this. Looks about right. This does not look right, but I think that's just because I have this stuff built up there. Rasta says the YouTube algorithm doesn't like links for some reason. YouTube ghost bans your comments when you post too many links. Okay, yeah. I wish, yeah, it's one of those kind of necessary evils when there's so many spammers and scammers out there. Ethereal says block links. New comments with hashtags and URLs will be held for review. Live chat messages with URLs will be blocked. You moderators and approved users can still post links. That's from the Creator Studio community settings. Okay. Yeah, then I guess best bet is to hit me up on social medias if you got it. So going through all the work of transplanting the eye, and it still looks like I'm just gonna have to pretty much completely redo all the eye shape. Whatever. Just more practice. That's fine. Matt Nemec says, "What music are you listening to? I really like this." This is proof that I'm very, very old man. I still buy CDs. Look at that. So that's what it is. I do this thing where every time I'm by a half-price books, I stop in and I browse through their giant CD collection, and when I see a cover that I find particularly striking, you know, like it seems like the type of genre that I like, but I haven't heard of the band, or if it's a band I've heard of, or like maybe I've heard a couple songs on the radio and liked them, you know, and the CD is like $2 or $3, be like, you know what, I'll take that gamble. I could actually take the time to look them up on YouTube or whatever and make sure that I actually like them. But I've had really good luck with being totally random and being happily surprised by a lot of stuff. Ethereal says, "Time for me to hit the hay. Thanks for the fun and interaction, Josh and co. Best of luck with the sculpture." Thanks, Ethereal. Get some sleep. I know I am tonight. I'm gonna crash hard. So hard. I was up at 3:30 after only, you know, a couple hours of sleep, taking my wife to the airport, and then went straight to work. And then I was at work for like 13 hours. Finally came home and jumped straight onto this just because I was excited to try out my new eyeballs. And I was like, hey, if I'm trying this anyway, I might as well stream. So yeah, I'm definitely these brow ridges are gonna need a lot of work, but I think I'll have to do that next time. I think I just want to make sure these eyes are actually seated properly, and that will be my end point for the night. This is always an interesting angle to try to achieve. Oh, what is wrong about that? I feel like this should be bulging out. No, but it doesn't bulge out of there. But when I build up the eyelid so that it's not... This is what happens when you sculpt sleepy. Daniel says, could I send you some pics of my work too? Absolutely. I welcome any and all pictures from folks. I mean, of sculptures, you know. Your pets or children or miscellaneous body parts. I don't care to get those pics, but... Gotta remember when there's a smile, you have to make sure there's some nice bags under the eyes. No matter how young and pretty a person is, they will get bags when they smile. Alright, I'm satisfied that the canthuses are in the right place. I feel like this eye is still weird. Okay, it looks like the bottom of the outer eyelid is too high. Yeah, definitely better. Okay, specifically looking at this picture now. The mouth is clearly wrong in a lot of ways, but I'm just trying to look at the eyes. Gosh, there's still more white in Heather's eyes than in the sculpture, but I don't know that I can expose any more white. Like the curvature of the eyeball is going into the face. Like you can't push it back much further. Bit Green says, really appreciate the art club feel of the stream. Awesome. Yeah, me too. That's what I'm going for. Just hang out and make art. Art it if you've got it. That is definitely one of my favorite activities, is just hanging out sculpting with other people. Rasta says, is it me or is the right eye slightly higher than the left eye? Is it just you? Let's see. So it's kind of hard because there's not like a clear center line that you can be precise with. But if we try to be, keep it at a nice 90-degree angle there. Let's see if I have a better stick for that. Well, I think at this angle it looks right. You see when I look through my human eyes instead of the camera eye. Hi, Vinicius, watcher from Brazil. Welcome. You're just in time for me to quit, but I will be back tomorrow. Yeah, I think I'm at the point of diminishing returns where I've been looking at it for so long that I don't really have good perspective on it. So I'll sleep on it and come back and look at it another day, and then think to myself, wow, I have to completely start over again. But yeah, it's just the way it works sometimes. It's fine. It's all part of the art process. Devilman says, faces are rarely symmetrical. Often one side of the face is higher than the other. That is true. I mean, I think it's one of those things that science says, you know, the more symmetrical you are, the more beautiful you're perceived to be. And I don't know. There's probably some truth to that. I don't notice any major asymmetry in Heather. I mean, maybe that eye is a little bit higher, but also, again, camera lens, weird angle, weird expression can all affect those things. You know, the lighting, hard to say. Anyway, yeah. I'm gonna be back tomorrow at noon my time, so hopefully I can get you Europeans and Middle Easterners and Africans and Australians and New Zealanders and all you other folks around the world at a time where it's not 3 in the morning. So, Rasta says, that was great, can't wait for the next stream. Awesome. Me neither. I'm gonna go sleep for 12 hours and then we'll do another stream. Alright, see you later, guys.